I'd like to introduce you to a sacred text from the ancient spiritual and philosophical tradition Vedanta, dating back to 10,000 BCE. And that text is called Bhagavad Gita, the divine song or the song of God. Now, this is not a book of religion. It is a manual for warriors. It is a treatise on self-discipline, a guide on how to live consciously and fearlessly. The greatest minds on earth revere the Bhagavad Gita. Sunita Williams, the American astronaut, takes it with her to space. Robert J. Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, quoted the 11th chapter during the Trinity test. Carl Jung, the father of analytic psychology, calls it the map of the human psyche. Aldous Huxley, Mahatma Gandhi, Hermann Hesse. The list of admirers go on. And the Gita is a phenomenal guide. It's the ultimate manual on self-mastery and success because it doesn't preach seeking peace through avoidance. It teaches achieving clarity through confrontation because it is through direct confrontation of reality can greatness be achieved. Transformation and evolution doesn't happen through ease and comfort. It happens through direct confrontation of reality, collision, resistance, and adversity. And it is from these moments of adversity is character formed, greatness achieved, and consciousness sharpened. To be great is to stand in your own fire without looking away. And so the Bhagavad Gita starts on the battlefield where Arjuna, a warrior of unmatched skill, is called to fight a just war. He finds himself fighting two sides of the same royal family. In other words, on the battlefield are his friends and family on the left and on the right. And of course, he's clouded with self-doubt and indecision. He's mentally fatigued and he can't pick a side. And so he turns to his best friend, Krishna, for advice. Turns out Krishna is ultimately God. And instead of comforting Arjuna, Krishna confronts him. And one of the first things Krishna says to Arjuna, chapter 2, verse 2 and 3 is, Kutas tveva kashmalam idam Visha me samupastitham anarya jushtam aswargyam akirti karam Arjuna. He asks Arjuna a question. From where is this weakness coming upon you? Anxiety, self-doubt, analysis paralysis, indecision. Your emotions are clouding your logic. Where is this coming from? He's referring to weakness as a foreigner or a foreign entity, kind of like a stranger you'd invite in your home. He says, where is this coming from, especially now? Visha me samupasthitam. When life is asking you to stand up and fight for yourself, be courageous, represent yourself, march forward. It is now that you're being weak. Anarya justam aswargyam akirti karam Arjuna. It's unwarrior-like. It's not a good look. It doesn't suit you. And this leads to bad deeds. And what Krishna is essentially saying is recognize your emotions. Failure, pain, grief, anger, jealousy, self-doubt, analysis paralysis. Recognize moments of fragmentation. And don't refuse them, but refuse to let them guide and dictate your behavior in the world. In other words, your decision-making abilities, your capacity to guide yourself in the right direction must be greater than how you feel. He goes on to say in verse 3, Klaibama samagama partha naitatvaye upapadhyate shudram hridayam dorbalyam tyaktvoktishta parantapa. This weakness, this weak state that you're embodying, that you're wearing like a garment, like a jewel, give it up, tyaktvoktishta. Give it up because naitatvaye upapadyate doesn't suit you. Here he's referring to weakness as kindness. So you're essentially acting or behaving like you're morally just, but really you're defending your weakness. And in the sacred tradition of Vedanta, to betray yourself, to let yourself be abused, to be a doormat, to hide, to shrink, to be small, to not chase your dreams and your ultimate goals, to not march forward towards your destiny. In other words, self-betrayal is sin because the self is sacred in the Vedantic traditions. Krishna goes on to say in chapter 2, verse 32, Yadrachaya chopapannam swarga dwaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labhante yuddham idrisham. Very powerful verse. Krishna says the gates of heaven are open to those warriors who fight unsought battles happily. So if life has chosen you, it's handed you, hardships, lawsuits, sickness, mental fatigue, whatever your situation may be, a warrior that happily takes on the challenges of life and marches forward in the direction of their goals relentlessly, they achieve success. Not only do they achieve success and greatness, the gates of heaven are open for those, not to those who win, but those who simply march forward in the direction of their dreams despite adversity. And here's a very important verse I'd also like to cover, which is verse 47, which is karmani vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhu mate sangosta karmani. It says, you have the right to action. You don't have the right to the fruits of its labor. And so you must detach anxiety associated with what if. What if I move forward and it fails? What if I move in the direction and it doesn't work out? What if they say this? What if I get a no? That's not on you. Your responsibility, your duty, your right, your moral obligation is to represent yourself everywhere you go, to march forward in the direction of your dreams. You may not win. It may not end up working out for you. That's not on you. That's no reason to fall back behind. That's no reason to shy away from your destiny. That's no reason to hide. If it doesn't work out, if you fail, that's not on you. Your job is to represent yourself. That is your moral obligation, to be of service to yourself. That is the only right you have. You have the right to march forward in the battlefield of life and achieve. You don't have the right to the results of those actions. And so healthy detachment from joy, sorrow, profit, loss, fear, anxiety is a prerequisite to success, because then you can single-handedly, one-pointedly focus in the direction of your dreams and march forward relentlessly despite the ups and downs of life. I'll quickly touch over some other verses, which are Matra sparsha tu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama payo nitya tam tatiksha swabharata. Here Krishna is reiterating that don't act based on how you feel. If you're a slave to your feelings, if you're negotiating with how you feel, you will always be stuck, because your decision-making abilities are not stronger than how you feel. You must tolerate extreme discomfort, regulate your nervous system, and move in the direction of what is right and beneficial to you, not based on how you feel. And so here Krishna says, Matra sparsha tu kaunteya, much like you experience heat on the body, cold on the body, these transitory sense perceptions or sensations, much like the seasons of the world that come and go, much like that are your feelings. These are chemical states. They come and go. They're temporary. But the decisions you make in them, they last forever. And so you must make logical decisions despite how you feel. And so this is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita, is that it is not passive philosophy. It is operational discipline. It does not teach seeking peace and comfort through avoidance. It asks you to seek clarity through direct confrontation. And it is through these moments of facing reality can you really form a true logical decision on how to proceed forward. But that requires you to think under pressure, control your emotions, act without hesitation, represent yourself, fight against injustice by marching on the battlefield of life and turning every moment of collapse and chaos and catastrophe into an opportunity to forge your greatness and your character. Because greatness is forged through discomfort, not through ease and stability. And that is the beauty of this text, is it really is a call to action. It's a call for you to represent yourself in the highest, most integrated way possible. And if you find yourself on the battlefield of life, where you're faced with a Goliath and every piece of you wants to run away, wants to hide, wants to seek comfort in the easy path. Remember this, you are not being destroyed. You are being initiated. And the question isn't, is this a fair battle? The question is, are you willing to rise to fight it?